So it's essential that your guitar is in tune when you play it, so it doesn't sound like that. And your guitar will basically go out of tune if you're playing it because you're applying pressure to the strings, or if it's just sitting in a corner or in its guitar case, etc. So we need to make sure our guitar is in tune. Now you can either tune it by using an app, which are available on phones, iPads, any sort of devices, effects pedals if you've got them, and you can just tune. You just hit the string, pluck the string necessary, and the pointer will go straight up when you're in tune. And we'll tell you what the notes of the guitar strings are in a moment. But the method I'm going to show you is how to tune a guitar by itself and in tune with itself. So what we do, we have a reference point, which is going to be, in this case, that lowest string there, and we're going to tune it to that lowest string. Okay, so how do we go about doing that? Well, very, very simply, we need to make sure that this bottom string there is in tune with all the other strings. As I said, this is like a reference point. So let's give you the names of the strings. The bottom lowest note is E, the next one is an A, the next one is a D, the next one is a G, the next one is a B, and the next one is an E. And we refer to that as the top E because it's the highest note. And the strings start off thicker at the low notes, and onto the top E, that's where it is the thinnest. And they're the ones that tend to go out of tune the most. So how can you remember the names of the strings? Well, I tend to say, even after dinner, greedy boys eat. How about that? Or elephants and donkeys got big ears. I don't know, something like that. So use the first letter of each of those sayings. So E, A, D, G, B, E. And you remember that. So we've got our bottom E string here. How are we going to get that in tune with the next string, which is the A? We're going to put our finger, doesn't matter what finger for the time being, on this 5th fret. So we have fret 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you're going to rest your finger near to one of that fret wire there and apply some pressure until you get that note. And that note, and we'll go through this in another lesson, is the A note. And we need to make sure the next string up, which is an A, is in tune with it. So we've got an A note there, so we need to make sure the A note there is the same as the one above. And it actually is. So it's in tune. If it wasn't in tune, you need to use the tuning pegs here to turn like that. The pressure on the strings, or the tension on the string, changes, and it will go lower if the tension decreases, or higher when you turn the tuning peg like that. So what you do, you hit the note there, making sure your finger is just behind that fret wire, just behind it, not on it. And you can hear that one, that A is slightly lower than the A on the fret. So you tune it up like that. And still slightly lower until they're the same. So now we have a bottom E, and we've played the A notes there on the 5th fret, and we've got the A notes there in tune, like that. So we'll tell you a bit more about fretting in a later lesson, but now those two in tune, we're now going to repeat that process. So we're now going to go to the A note. Again, we're going to apply the pressure on this 5th fret, just before the fret wire there, and make sure that the next tune, the next string, which is the D, represents this 5th fret on the A string, which is also the D note. That's in tune, and you repeat the process of turning the tuning pegs one way or another to change the pitch to make sure it's in tune. We now do exactly the same on the next one. We're going to the 3rd string, as we call it, the D note, D string rather, and we're going to press on the 5th fret again, which is the G note, and make sure it's in tune with the G string. Again, that is in tune, and you just do the tuning pegs up and down to make sure it's in tune. We then, there's a slight change here. The next string is a B there, and so B note on the G string is on the 4th fret as opposed to the 5th fret. So we're going to put the pressure on the 4th fret there, just near to the fret wire, and make sure the B string is in tune with that. Again, it's in tune. I'm not going to detune it and tune it up, but that's your job to practice as you go up and down and just turn the tuning pegs accordingly. And finally, we've got our top E string here, and we're going on the B string now to the 5th fret. because we're going back up to the 5th fret, because that's your B note, your E note, sorry, and there's your E note there, and make sure those two are in tune. And they are. Usual thing, use the tuning pegs to go down or up. Now that probably did take about 5 minutes-ish, I estimate. When you are much more experienced, it'll be change, change, and then you'll strum a chord, which we'll show you in later lessons again, to see that it feels in tune. And that is as simple as that, as tuning your guitar. Obviously, if you use the apps, you just need to pluck the relevant string, and the app will tell you what the note is. And if it's too low, in other words, it's flat, or it's too high, in other words, it's sharp, you just change the pitch of the string by using the tuning pegs until the arrow goes up. And then you repeat that process for E, A, D, G, B and E, and your guitar is in tune. And now we're ready to rock and roll.